This is the current Interstate 5 bridge, which connects Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, Washington. Many say that the bridge is getting old and is in need of replacement, so a $3.5 billion Columbia River crossing has been proposed. Part of the project includes an $850 million light rail route that would go into downtown Vancouver, Washington. This has many in the small business community of Vancouver concerned.
Well, the city is broke. It doesn't have any money, so this would create property tax, which that would impact me because I pay the property tax on this business building, even though I don't own the building. And then you're talking about sales tax. And generally what happens, through my experience, is that they draw from the general fund and then they create asking for taxes for education and fire and safety and all those things, and people have to respond because they want that safety, and it's going to bring more crime, so they're going to need more law enforcement down here. So yeah, it's going to create more taxes.
Very expensive, and then in 20 years, from my understanding, you have to rebuild it again. And it just seems strange to pay so much money for a light rail system that is going to cost Washington City's taxpayers. That'll enable people to go shop in Oregon easier tax-free, but it would create more taxes for us, which are already struggling in small businesses.
Right.
It's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money. I think they need to look at that. I think the people of Vancouver are taxed heavily enough. I don't think they need any more. Businesses up and down Washington Street, south and north, are going to be kind of hurting for business when that actually goes.
Others, however, aren't so concerned about the cost or taxes.
Yeah, and it will be expensive and it won't be cheap, but it will happen because it's in congressional budgets. It will happen. Whether we actually take part in that or not, there will be light rail, there will be a bridge, whether we like it or not. And the thing is, everyone says no, but when it does happen, they don't get any voice in it anymore.
If you're all right with the cost of all of it, who would end up paying for it?
Well, all of us. I mean, that's just the nature of these beasts. I mean, it's like every construction project you ever had to deal with, before you paid through property tax, or sales tax, or taxation of some sort, or a fee of some sort. It's really what it should be viewed as. It's a fee, whatever definition you want to give it. And so everyone's going to pay for it, whether they like it or not.
One of the revenue sources that's being proposed is placing a toll to cross the new bridge. This could be upwards of $8 per trip for a single-axle vehicle. This is possible due to a 2009 bill that Washington Senator Patty Murray was able to get passed. The bill counts estimated toll revenue as local match money in order to get the federal funding. The tolls could severely impact the business that travels between the two states.
And another big issue for us is about last couple of months, half of our sales came from Oregon customers. And last year, about 31% of our customers came from Oregon. And most of our customers that are coming from Oregon are shopping for a bargain on a used musical instrument, so they're pretty highly unlikely to pay any toll to get across the bridge to come look for a bargain at our used instrument shop.
The impact on my household is going to be a weekly total of 76 trips across the river or across the tolling points a week. That would be for my father and myself alone, so that's going to heavily impact my house. I've done the figures on that. Even if the toll was $4 a time across the bridge, the impact would be $304 a week on my household, including my father. And if it were $8 a week, it'd be $608. Right. Or $8 per trip, it'd be $608 a week. When you combine that with the other men that drive with me on this contract servicing the Vancouver mail system, we're talking about a total of 4 Oregon drivers making 352 trips across the river toll points per week.
Well, you're looking at tolls. I have students from out of state that come in, and that would cost them, so I would probably no longer draw them. My students would not access the light rail because they have families, children they have to pick up and things like that, that the light rail wouldn't be fast enough for them. to accommodate their lifestyle. So.
I don't know if they would want to put a toll on 14 or put a toll on the bridge the other way, because people then will just over-impact that bridge, the Glen Jackson Bridge. That's exactly what's going to happen, and so I would imagine they then would want to tax that, or they would go and put a toll on that. That would be my opinion that they may want to do. I don't know if they will, but I can see that. And the other thing is that I would say people would probably, some of these would have to go across the Portland Way. There's going to have to be something done, because there's a lot of freighting goes back and forth, and I think it'd be a pretty costly episode. For us, it could be probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $32 a day.
Several buildings would have to be demolished to make way for the new rail line and parking structure. These buildings include the Red Lion Hotel and several smaller businesses. Over 100 employees would be left without a job. The crime that is often associated with light rail is also a concern.
And the crime that it's going to bring in, because I happen to live in Gresham, even though I have a business all these years here, light rail has brought much crime. In fact, they have increased our water bill to access more law enforcement to take care of the crime due to light rail impacting the Gresham area.
Wow. My concern more is for, if you look at what's happened in Gresham, Gresham brought in the light rail, crime went up, they brought in, TriMet was having funding problems, so they couldn't increase security, so Gresham had to bring in their own police to bring crime back down, which they did, but it cost them money, and now the mayor is trying to put a $7 tax, a $7 fee on everybody's water bill per month to help cover fire and police costs that have been growing. So I can see the crime could possibly be a factor, but my bigger concern is that it'll increase our cost on police to get it back down, and thus a new tax will follow.
And once again, others have a different point of view when it comes to the potential of more crime.
And the stuff about, oh, it's going to be crime downtown and all that. Well, if you ask the police, they don't say that. And I consider them the experts in crime. So they know whether it's going to bring crime downtown or not. And they've made no intonations towards, oh, it's going to bring crime downtown.
Right.
It's not. I mean, you can make up all the statistics you want, but when the police say no, that's pretty much going to be the end argument.
You can find plenty of reports online about Gresham, how it went up, and Clackamas, how it went up, and even interviews with the sheriff that he attributed crime directly to light rail.
The current on-ramp to I-5 from downtown Vancouver could be eliminated, or at the very least reconfigured in such a way that inhibits drivers from accessing the freeway.
We would lose not only all of our exposure, because all 3 lanes of traffic getting on the freeway would be gone, but our biggest concern is we'd lose all our parking. And as you can see, most of our customers are bringing in drum sets and big guitar amps and stuff, and they're highly unlikely to park a block away to bring in instruments when now they can park right in front of us.
Supporters of the project claim that it will create construction jobs.
Construction jobs are temporary, and maybe only the construction business will benefit for it.
That's for a limited time, though. You know, you mean maximum, let's say 7-8 year period. So they have those jobs during that period, then what?
Right.
You know, it's just for an immediate project. It isn't ongoing.
It's just like we need a solution to the traffic problem. And it's one of the most heavily trafficked roads in North America. I mean, it's Interstate 5. You know, and billions of dollars of freight cross over that every day in trucks and through other means as well. And we should really look for ways to make it work and ways to not make it work.
Right.
So what are the solutions to the current bridge problem? Or is there a problem with the bridge at all?
You know, strip out the rail project and then recognize that the CRC wasn't going to solve the problem. And so I'd say leave the bridge the way it is, do some rehab for it, maybe for earthquakes, to fix the downstream rail bridge a little bit to solve the problem for barges. Then we need to be thinking of at least a bridge downstream and a bridge upstream. There's a great place for it at 192nd and Vancouver, 181st and Gresham, and if we built a bridge downstream and improved one of the roads, like Cornelius Pass Road on the west side of Portland, to such that you could drop down on the edge of Forest Park and get down Highway 30, to have sort of a mirror image of I-205, a very low-grade mirror image, you might say.
If they created a lift here on the Burlington Northern Bridge, it barges and 95% of the people that go through the bridge lifts here would be able to actually fit under this tall pass and go straight through without a bridge lift. So by updating the even older, over a century-old railroad bridge, it would eliminate 95% of the bridge lifts on the I-5 bridge. And the cost of this project's been estimated a third of what CRC has already spent just in studies.
Right.
$50 million.
Right. What do you think of the fact that so many of the politicians now in Vancouver and starting in Portland, they do everything possible to squelch light rail from coming up for a vote amongst the people? They do everything possible to work their way around that. What are your thoughts on that?
Because there's been a good track record that it has been shot down in a vote, and anybody that does any amount of investigation into it will see that bus rapid transit system can do everything better, faster, cheaper.
Years ago, when the Yellow Line was being considered, we sponsored a debate. It was to be between one of our advisors, an economist at Portland State, who eventually wrote a paper for us about this, and then City Commissioner Charlie Hales, who is probably going to be the next mayor, and he agreed to the debate. And about a month ahead of time, he said he had a conflict. And then we said, oh, we can change that. So we changed the date, and he said yes. And then about 2 weeks before the date, he canceled again. And we said, well, we could, we're flexible, we can change. And his office got back and said, you know what, we've just decided there's really no reason for us to participate. There's nothing in it for us. Okay, so then we called Earl Blumenauer, congressman, who's godfather of all this. Of course he said no. And eventually we, after asking around, we put out a press release inviting any elected official who believed in the Yellow Line, who had the courage of their convictions, to show up and defend their point of view. We had a chair for them. And that chair was empty all through the debate.
The bottom line for me is the impacting of tolls and the job service I perform is most likely going to force me to retire from this job that I've been doing for 17 years.
So between losing our parking, losing our exposure, and then losing our Oregon customers, I may have to, more than likely, I'll have to lay off half of my employees, and all my employees have paid medical benefits and rely on this job to make their house payments.
Wow. And it would just destroy the area. We would not be able to survive it. I and many of the small businesses around me in '84, when they did the streets and the brickwork and everything, a lot of them went under then, and I barely survived that. So it's going to be traumatic.
Most of everything I've seen is buses can do everything faster, cheaper, and with less impacts on the community, and they have more flexible routes. They can change their routing at any time, and less impacts and less expensive. And you'll find that a lot of the light rail corridors had subsidies, tax abatements and stuff like that. You don't have to do that for buses.